Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Anil Thomas. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Donald Trump secures big win in the first Republican presidential contest in Iowa. Ron DeSantis drops out in favor of Trump. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to address World Economic Forum at Davos, discuss reconstruction plans for the war-ravaged nation with NATO chief. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on a two-day visit to Andhra Pradesh and Kerala offers prayers at the Veerbhadra temple in Lipakshi to inaugurate projects worth over 4,000 crores. Well, it was perhaps the least surprising victory in the history of the Iowa caucus as Donald Trump romped to a lightning-quick victory in the first contest in the Republican race for a presidential nominee. Braving frigid cold, his supporters turned out to cement his status as the presumptive Republican standard-bearer to challenge President Joe Biden in November's presidential election. For the first time since he lost his 2020 re-election bid, the former US president, who has been prosecuted in 4 criminal cases, faced the voters. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis dropped out in favor of Trump, while former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley finished third in Iowa. Nikki Haley has now turned her attention to New Hampshire after coming third in the Iowa caucus. Third place finisher Nikki Haley touted her showing up to supporters, saying that because she surpassed expectations, the Republican presidential contest is now a two-person race. She also told the audience at a caucus watch party that she represents the last best hope of stopping the Trump-Biden nightmare.
President Trump on his win tonight. We have had an amazing 11 months here in the Hawkeye State. I came to Iowa early and often, and I kept coming back, even though the cold weather is brutal.
Vivek Ramaswamy, a multimillionaire former biotech executive, ended his White House bid and endorsed Donald Trump after his long-shot bid caught the attention but failed to catapult him enough in the Republican Party's first nominating contest in Iowa. Ramaswamy was one of the surprises of the 2024 Republican race, dominated by former President Donald Trump. A fierce defender of Trump throughout the campaign, Ramaswamy likely secured himself a spot in Republican politics going forward with his youthful demeanor, deep pockets, and a fast-talking, brilliant campaign.
Say a word about myself and our family.
Vice President Kamala Harris warned Americans on Monday that their freedom is threatened as she commemorated Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the early voting state of South Carolina. Harris urged voters to help protect American rights from Republicans. US Vice President Kamala Harris said that freedom in the country is under profound threat, citing the Supreme Court overturning the Roe v. Wade long lines for voting and the prevalence of gun violence.
In America, freedom is under profound threat. Today, in fact, we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms.
Let's now listen into some of the reactions from Iowa residents who support Donald Trump.
I can't divorce myself from Trump. I mean, his qualifications and his performance over the last term that he had, and the persecution that he's put himself through, or they've put him through, is just unreal.
4 year or 6 year, it'd be 8 years ago now when he took over. He made significant changes in what went on. I don't think there's another person running that is strong enough to fight the establishment and to get things done.
Trump, because I know we both feel the same, and he's done an awesome job in the past, and I know he'll take care of business this time. And he's real important to us, and I think he's going to do an excellent job.
I don't think there's ever been a more important time for President Trump. Our world is going to hell in a handbasket if we don't stop it.
While ahead of the address at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg. The duo discussed ways to finance Ukraine's reconstruction plans. The Ukrainian president also held talks with EU chief Ursula von der Leyen and business leaders on the sidelines of the forum. The meeting comes 2 days after a high-stakes summit on Ukrainian peace formula that was proposed by Zelenskyy. The plans call for withdrawal of Russian troops and cessation of hostilities. Speaking at the World Economic Forum, Qatar Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani said that US and UK strikes against Yemen's Houthi rebels raise the risk of regional escalation of the Israel-Hamas conflict.
This is also will create a high risk of further escalation and further expansion of that. We always prefer diplomacy over any military resolutions, and we believe that we shouldn't just focus on those small conflicts. We should focus on the main conflict in Gaza, and as soon as it's diffused, I believe everything else will be diffused.
Amidst the ongoing West Asia conflict, the Israeli military on Tuesday said it killed dozens of Palestinian terrorists in northern Gaza during an operation. Meanwhile, the troops also located approximately 100 rocket set installations and 60 ready-to-use rockets. Israel has asserted that only military pressure on Hamas will force them to release hostage. Comments from Defense Minister Yoav Gallant came after Hamas released a new video that purportedly showed the dead bodies of 2 Israeli hostages killed in captivity. While Israel's Defense Minister said Hamas is carrying out a psychological abuse when asked about the fate of hostages held by Hamas. The Israeli Special Forces has carried out a strike in the area of Aita Ash-Shab in Lebanon. Israel's military said on Tuesday that the IDF Special Forces struck in order to remove a threat in the area of Aita Ash-Shah in Lebanon. It did not say what kind of forces had struck, nor where specifically they had operated. The military also said its aircraft struck an anti-tank missile launcher in southern Lebanon that belonged to the Iranian-backed group Hezbollah. Turkey says it has destroyed 23 targets in an overnight airstrikes on Kurdish militants in northern Iraq and Syria, a further escalation of conflict south of its border. The attacks were the latest by Turkey since 9 Turkey soldiers were killed in clashes with Kurdistan Workers' Party militants in northern Iraq on Friday. According to the Defense Ministry, the new strikes were on targets in northern Syria and the Metina, Gara, Haruk and Kandil regions in northern Iraq. Interior Minister also said on social media that counterterrorism police had detained 165 people in operations targeting the PKK across 28 Turkey province. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps struck spy headquarters of Israel in Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdish region and Syria with ballistic missiles. The US has condemned the Iranian attack and said they oppose such reckless missile strikes. According to Iran, these attacks are revenge for the killings of the 3 members of the guards in Syria due to an Israeli airstrike last month. The strikes come after West Asia conflict, primarily between Israel and Hamas, rages on, with Iran's allies from Lebanon, Syria, Iraq and Yemen also joining hands against Israel. Iran has also promised for more such attacks. Iranian Foreign Minister has warned the United States and Britain to stop the attack against Yemen.
The United States cannot call for restraint while supporting Israel or provoke a conflict in the Red Sea by attacking Yemen, while claiming that it does not want a wider war in the region.
Some updates on the weather front now. A volcano that erupted in southwest Iceland for the second time to be significantly less active on Tuesday past midnight, despite signs of magma still flowing underground. The Icelandic Meteorological Office has said that although volcanic activity has eased since Sunday, the eruption center is a high-risk area and new fissures could open without warning. Officials further said it is difficult to estimate how long the eruption will last, adding that new cracks might appear within Greenwich in the next few days. In Colorado, plow machines have been deployed after heavy snow filled the streets of the U.S. state. Recently, most of the United States is gripped by an Arctic blast on Monday in the northern states and Texas, along with potentially damaging the turnout in Iowa, where voters cast their first ballot for a Republican candidate in November's presidential race. The dangerously frigid weather expected to linger throughout the week, hitting the Midwest hardest and freezing rain across the southern and mid-Atlantic states. Heavy rains buffeted a Brazilian city and killed at least 12 people in the capital, Rio. The rain flooded streets, the capital city metro line, and people's homes, bringing down trees and causing landslides. Rio's mayor, Eduardo Paes, announced a state of emergency, while President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's government offered federal support. The United States will deploy 2 military helicopters in Japan to the earthquake-hit Noto Peninsula. Japan's Minister of Defense, Minoru Kihara, said that the U.S. ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, has posted on social media that United States will deploy 2 Black Hawk helicopters. Relief efforts have been hampered by strong aftershocks that could trigger fresh landslides and further damage weakened structures. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sung-hu met her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Moscow on Tuesday. During the meeting, the North Korean minister stated that ties with Russia were developing in line with the plans of the 2 countries' leaders. The Kremlin announced that President Vladimir Putin would later meet both ministers to discuss the outcome of their talks.
The fact that the foreign ministers meet now to strengthen their friendship once again proves that friendly relations between Russia and North Korea, which have a long history and traditions of friendship, move forward with energy in accordance with the plans of the leaders of the 2 countries.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India launches Women's Leadership Lounge in Davos. The Indian Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia flagged off an Air India Express flight connecting the Indian city of Gwalior to Bengaluru. Indian Open Badminton Tournament kicks off in the national capital, Delhi.
This is Dashrath Mahal or Dashrath Palace, which is thought to have served the home of Lord Rama in his younger days and also served as a capital of King Dashrath.
राम राज्य पूर्णतः 22 जनवरी को वापस आ रहा है। हम लोगों में एकदम हर्ष उल्लास है। जय श्री राम।
पूरी अयोध्या मालूम दुल्हन की तरह सज गई है।
राम राज्य के दर्शन करने सब राज आएगा। ये पृथ्वी का ना राजा राम जी है।
अयोध्या में राम जी का भव्य मंदिर, दिव्य मंदिर बन रहा है। ये हमारे स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है।
Iconic Ram Ki Pedi or the series of ghats on the bank of much revered river Saryu.
राम जी का राज्य था, राम जी का राज्य है, राम जी का राज्य रहेगा।
From the banks of river Saryu, we bring for you the special stories from the streets of holy city Ayodhya Dham, the land of Ram, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Anil Thomas. Time now for some world news. The World Health Organization, that's WHO, has appealed for a $1.5 billion funding to respond to the health needs of millions of people caught up in dozens of humanitarian crises around the globe. The WHO DG, Tedros Ghebreyesus, said an estimated 166 million people would require health assistance around the world this year. Farmers and their tractors rumbled towards Berlin from every corner of Germany on Sunday ahead of a giant protest demanding a rethink of plans to tax farmers more. The protests are expected to draw 3,000 trucks, 3,000 tractors, 2,000 trucks and 10,000 people from around the country and will cap a week of nationwide unrest that has put further strain on Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition as it grapples with a budget mess and rising far-right forces. Eyewitness video shot on Monday showed dozens of vehicles inundated in flood waters as extreme rain from cyclone Belal lashed Mauritian capital. The French island of La Réunion, some 266 kilometers, was also struck by the cyclone on Monday. Authorities issued advisories for citizens to stay in the safest rooms of their house. And British supermodel Kate Moss, one of the fashion's most recognizable faces, turns 50. Growing up in Croydon, South London, Moss was discovered at an age of 14. She shot to fame in campaigns for US fashion brand Calvin Klein, including for the perfume Obsession, and went on to become one of the best known and top earning models in the world. A probable game-changing technology in the future will be the direct-to-mobile broadcast, that's D2M. A summit on the potential of this technology was held in the national capital on Tuesday. During the event, Information and Broadcasting Secretary Apurva Chandra said that Prasar Bharati has already tested the technology and it has a huge potential.
D2M is now a technology which is ready to be launched in India, and Prasar Bharati is working on a pilot because the proof of concept has already been done along with IIT Kanpur and Sankhya Labs. And when we launch the pilot in 19 cities using the Prasar Bharati infrastructure, then people will get to know, the consumers will get to know in what way D2M benefits, because it will lead to customers getting direct access to TV on their mobile phones, and it doesn't require even internet or a SIM card. It has multiple benefits for the consumer, as also for the industry, for the broadcasting industry.
At the D2M Summit, Secretary of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology S. Krishnan said that this technology would be beneficial to many, and especially during emergency.
In the D2M technology, it's a broadcast, which means that from one source, it can actually go to multiple phones at one go. Where it can be particularly useful is in situations of disasters and communicating to far-flung areas where you want to get a message across, or where fishermen are in distress out at sea, or you want to get them messages on the weather. In those kind of situations, you have an immediate application, and it can be a game changer. It can be extremely useful.
Secretary for Department of Science and Technology, Professor Abhay Karandikar, spoke about the potential this technology has to create, especially this technology has the power to create disruptions in the market.
It has a great as a potential for disrupting the digital broadcast technology, because it can bring the TV broadcast to your mobile. And since it is indigenously developed technology, I feel that we have a potential to deploy this technology using the chips and systems where India holds intellectual property and where we have developed here internally.
Sankhya Labs, along with the support of the Government of India, developed a technology that could perhaps disrupt the market on how we consume live content. Your mobile can also become the next TV, as direct broadcast of live TV could be available on your mobile phone. DD India's Dibyendu Mandal spoke to Parag Nayak, co-founder of Sankhya Labs, to find out more. Let's listen in.
We are at the D2M Summit and I'm joined by Parag. Welcome to Doordarshan. You have brought about a revolutionary technology, and what we see, you call it Driving India's Techade, D2M for Bharat. What is this about?
Direct-to-mobile technology is a new option for consumers to avail video content without necessarily using up your data plans. Right? Also, while some users might already can afford it, from a sustainability perspective, from a delivery perspective, this is a much more efficient way to do it. This is an option for you to consume video over an alternative, cheaper, cost-effective, and a climate-conscious way, in a common-conscious way.
But how is this different from internet, and why would people subscribe to this when they can already stream the same content on OTTs as well as on YouTube?
For large sections of the society, I mean, there are about 300 million, we had this discussion today, right? 300 million users who don't even have access to any kind of content. It is for them and the rest of them. For video-heavy applications, video has insatiable demand for bandwidth. This is going to be very expensive. So this brings down the cost for the consumer quite substantially.
So how much are you, do you think it is going to cost? Is it? I also believe you have developed a chipset. Yes. Will it be embedded in mobile phones, on TVs? How does that work?
So initially, some phones might get embedded in it, but as it picks up, as the technology picks up and the consumer demand picks up, at the end of the day, the consumer has to like the technology. And if it does pick up, then the cost will come down to less than 150 rupees. But if it is an external dongle that we are exhibiting right now, you will actually have to pay between 500 to 800 rupees initially.
We hope that this technology of yours could perhaps be a game changer in terms of consuming live content and dependence on internet is reduced. Thank you so much, Parag, for talking to Doordarshan. This is Dibyendu Mandal with camera person Rajesh for DD India from New Delhi.
On National Startup Day, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade felicitated the winners of National Startup Awards 2023 and the state's startup ranking. These two are the flagship initiatives under Startup India. Union Minister Piyush Goyal was also present at the event. A detailed story by Abhishek Mahajan.
Next category is Pivot Pro.
They are the champions who are driving the growth of startups in India. On National Startup Day, Piyush Goyal, Union Minister of Commerce and Industry, felicitated the winners of National Startup Awards 2023 and State Startup Ranking 2022 under different categories.
Impressed to see all the wonderful ideas that you all come up with, your can-do spirit, and the fact that each one of you is making an impact on the way we work, on the way we live, on society, for the better future of all of mankind.
Maximum applications were received from startups in Maharashtra, followed by Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh. Out of total 21 Startup Awards 2023, Maharashtra and Telangana bagged 4 awards each, while Karnataka was second in the list with 3. In its 4th edition, National Startup Awards received 2,324 applications, which is 38% more than the applications in its maiden edition. 2023 witnessed applications from all 36 states and union territories. 58% of the total applications came from emerging cities, Tier 2 and Tier 3, and other smaller towns and cities. 20% of startup applications nominated themselves with women in the leadership positions of their enterprise.
Today, in this short period of time, we have the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. And there are a number of pivotal factors for that.
16th January 2024 marks the completion of 8 glorious years of the launch of Startup India. From about 400 startups in 2016 to more than 1,17,000 recognized startups today, the Indian startup ecosystem has grown from strength to strength. The Startup India initiative is also playing an important role in realizing the vision of Viksit Bharat at 2047. Abhishek Mahajan's report, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the new campus of the National Academy of Customs, Indirect Taxes and Narcotics at Palasamundaram in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. Spread in 500 acres, the Academy is the apex institute of the Government of India for capacity building in the field of indirect taxation and narcotic control administration. With the addition of this new campus, the NACIN will focus on the use of new age technologies such as augmented and virtual reality.
2014 में सिर्फ 2 लाख रुपए तक ही 2 लाख तक की इनकम पर ही टैक्स छूट थी। हमने 2 लाख से बढ़कर के सीमा 7 लाख रुपए तक पहुंचा दी। 2014 के बाद से हमारी सरकार ने टैक्स में जो छूट दी है, जो रिफॉर्म किए हैं, उससे देशवासियों को करीब करीब 2.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए टैक्स की बचत हुई है।
The Indian Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia virtually flagged off an Air India Express flight connecting Indian city of Gwalior to Bengaluru. The flight will also connect Delhi and the religious city of Ayodhya to Gwalior. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said that the expansion of the aviation industry is a reflection of the Prime Minister's vision of connecting Indian history with the modern world. Air India Express has plans to expand its fleet by 100 aircrafts by the end of this year. In view of the fog-induced disruptions, the Civil Aviation Minister has issued standard operating procedures, that's SOP. The Civil Aviation Minister gave detailed information about the SOPs in a social media post. He said, in addition to these SOPs, we have sought incidents reporting thrice daily of all 6 major metro airports. Implementation of the DGCA India directives, SOPs and CARs will be monitored and reported regularly. War rooms will be set up by airports and airline operators at the 6 metro airports to address any issues with regards to passenger inconvenience with immediate effect. Well, Hardeep Singh, Union Ministers Hardeep Singh Puri and Smriti Irani launched the Women Leadership Lounge called We Led during the 2024 World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. Announcing the move on social media, Minister wrote, celebrating the emergence of Nari Shakti as one of the important pivots of the Indian growth story as we move from women-centered development to women-led development. The Indian Open badminton tournaments commenced, offering players a crucial shot at Olympic qualification. Ace Indian shuttler HS Pranoy deemed it a fantastic opportunity for athletes to amass vital ranking points. The accrued points could prove instrumental in propelling their quest for qualification at the Paris Games. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on X, Facebook, Instagram. We are going to be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Anil Thomas from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.